we are going to go out to Norway, and we are going to talk with Arec, he, him, and wants to talk about criticizing faith. So that is, we're here for that, man. You're chatting with Secularity and J Mike. What you got for us, Arec?
Oh yeah, hello. Yeah, it's just the Eastern Hemisphere is a bit hard to get onto the show here, but finally.
For sure.
I'd written down here if I could read up what my thoughts around it. So if I could just read it to you guys.
Sure.
So I've written, I doubt whether it's fair to use reason as a way of to criticize people who use faith to address questions that neither reason nor faith can actually answer, like life beyond death. I'm not questioning what people believe, but rather the method they use to approach big, unanswerable questions. After all, who am I to tell someone who relies on faith that they should go beyond faith and use reason? In situations where reason itself can't provide a definite answer either. In fact, when I use reason to justify reason, am I not doing a similar thing to what people of faith do? I'm relying on my own chosen method without being able to prove that that's the only valid way. So is it really justifiable to use reason to critique faith as a method when we both have their own limits that neither can fully answer?
Yeah, I think this is a great thought, Arec. I really appreciate you bringing this. I know I definitely have some thoughts on it, but I sorry, Krub, I was just going to kick it over to J Mike. J Mike, do you have anything you want to start off with? And then
Secular's always so sweet to me. I love it. I do have a lot of things. I mean, so like the one thing there's two things that stuck out. I'll try to be quick because I want to be fair to both people here and the audience, not waste everybody's time. So like I think of things like I always say this wrong, the Munchausen's trilemma, right? Like either things are gonna be stop at the stopping point, it's gonna be like dogmatically asserted, it's going to be reasoned in circularity, or it'll have some like infinite regression of, like a kid asking why, and just giving explanation. And so like two things I think. I mean, well, one, if we're all in the same boat with that, I mean, then there's at some point we kind of, I mean, I don't really buy into this I need to know that I know, which is called the KK principle in epistemology. I don't like buy into that kind of stuff. Some people might. I think that invokes an infinite regression and stuff. So I think there are ways that you can look at different theories and views, compare them out and go, well, the most epistemically humble view I can take is the one that takes the most least amount of commitments and gets the most explanation out of that. And I think everybody is free to do that. And I think we can actually point out when we do this process which view makes more commitments and less. Mm-hmm. So with that out of the way, because I think there are ways to come to certain positions without having to get stuck in the mud, so to speak. The one thing I want to say about the reason thing is that I'm using a tool. And if somebody is saying that they can build this infrastructure while me and Secular are over here building these houses, with this tool that we use, and we build neighborhoods with this tool, right? And I look over at yours and you come over to me and you're like, there's this other tool that you can use to build these houses in these cities. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Well, what is that tool? But then the person can't like show me what it is or take me to Home Depot and find what aisle it's in. When they come at me with that, I'm just honestly inquiring on how they would get to their position if they're not using this tool, reason, right? But then it's also like they're standing on my buildings and my infrastructure and like screaming from the top of it, like there's this other tool, but not showing. So it's not an issue of like saying you don't have this other methodology. At the start of this conversation, I gave one, comparing theoretical virtues, right? And doing more of like this, because I don't think you can do much with metaphysical beliefs and stuff, right? I think we're kind of shit out of luck. So here's one method. It might not work very well, but what I get on the other side is not somebody doing what I'm trying to do at the beginning of that, which is offering me some way to figure out whether or not that proposition is likely to be true or likely not to be true. If they just insist it's faith, it's really, to me, they're just kicking rocks in their lot, being like, there's another tool you guys can use, but you just don't want to use it. And I'm like, I've asked you. All right, Secular, let's keep building. Like, this guy's wasting our time. That's the way that I see it. And I think there are ways that you can offer this. People in philosophy of science or whatever do this, or outside of philosophy do this. And so that's kind of where I stand. It's just a point of inquiry and then criticism when you don't have anything.
Yeah. What do you think on that, Arec? I'll let you shout back a little at us.
Yeah, So I respect what you're saying. The only thing I don't know a lot. The only thing I've read Kierkegaard and.
Don't worry. Yeah, don't even worry about the philosophy stuff. I shouldn't even bring that into it. I'm just as a way to give a method. Yeah, as a way to like offer up. Here's something that people might not be familiar with: comparing theoretical virtues, commitments, and explanatory breadth and depth. Kind of like a souped-up Occam's razor, right?
Right.
But I think the problem, I would say, with your, or maybe not the problem with your explanation, but whenever I think of what you're saying, we're still, if we imagine a bubble, we're still just talking about a framework within the bubble. And my problem with that is that it doesn't really have to do with faith either. It's just how to build a worldview. I don't think now I'm thinking.
But look, hold on. But do you not agree? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you not agree that it would be pointless to have conversations with somebody if they don't play the same rules of the game that you're playing, right? Because I agree at some point, look, chess could be any way it could fucking want to be. We can make it any way with any rules. It could do this or that. It could jump up in the sky and fart out fire. I don't know. We can make up stuff what we want. I guess chess pieces can't do that. It's a bad example. I could jump up and fart and be like, king me, right? I can make up these rules. We come to agreed upon rules in the game. We don't question it's good to go at this meta level and question this stuff. But when I talk to people, they generally buy into these rules of the game. And I don't actually have to have this meta conversation with them. I just have to follow them around for a day and point out every time that they stick their foot in their mouth, right? Every time, because they're going to invoke these kind of principles. They're going to use induction. They're going to use all the same stuff, and they can do the philosophy game of but how do you know reason? KK principle. How do you know your reason? You're using your reason to reason? They can do that, but they don't do that in their life. They never go and do that, and they say they know things, and they say they believe things. And so there's some game that we are playing. And I'm not interested in playing a game with somebody that's going to stand up, fart in my face, and say, king me. This is not a very interesting game to me. So that's just where I stand.
And just to build off of that real quick, Arec, because what J. Mike was talking right there is exactly where I was going to go, is this idea you had mentioned, who am I to tell people, about their faith and the reasons they're using and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think what you are is an individual who has values, right? Just the same as J. Mike and I have values. Now, J. Mike and I might take the stance that those are entirely subjective, like that, at the end of the day, there's no real outside of human cognition reason that we should want to be consistent or anything. But this seems to be something that we all give a crap about, man. We want to know that the person that we talked to yesterday is going to stand by their statements and actions, right? And that tomorrow they're just not going to turn around and be somebody completely different, right? If that was how you engaged regularly in your life, you would probably lose all of your friends and family, because that is not a reliable way for us to get to conclusions, right? And so I think you do have the ability. Hang on just a second. I'll give you a second to talk. Just a moment, okay, Arec? I think you do have the ability to tell other people, hey, your method is incorrect based on their standards. That is what I think is the most powerful thing. What you're doing, and what I try to do here, is not to say hey, my just totally subjective, arbitrary way of living life and coming to conclusions. No, what I'm saying is exactly what J. Mike was saying a second ago. If I follow you around every day for the next week, I'm going to find 14 billion instances where you refuse that methodology that you are now claiming is the solid justification for your conclusion. That, I think, we are all in a boat to do. We are. Or if someone
lied to you, you're not going to go up to them and do the meta thing on but what's the reason of the reason? How do you know? And then do the philosophy game.
We know.
You're going to just inquire about the reasons they think their friend lied to them and go, wow, I'm not going to talk to them. You won't do the meta stuff on that. So that's why I just don't think it's practical when people do that. It's not how the world really works.
Yeah. But we'll give you a second here to shout back at us, Arec. We know you're talking a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I suppose the way I phrased the question, I suppose you guys are right. I think if I could slightly skew it a bit, I think.
Yeah, take your time.
Well, if you use reason within this bubble, and that helps us, and I would agree with that, like you just said. Is there any? I think I have a vast interest in seeing how far can we take this? Can we take it outside the bubble? And if so, where?
Okay, I mean that's interesting. If that's your passion to do, that's an interesting philosophical project. What you're going to do is, go read some epistemology and name the epistemologist who's just stumbled on these solutions for the problem or the criterion. And once you get into like a lot of these issues, you're going to go, wow, I don't know anything. Like there's all these problems. I just fail to think that this is the case. Like I think what the problem is when you do this kind of bubble thing is there's this like language game that's being played at all times where you're mapping on things that you're doing, and there's like, for my view, is like a, I guess you call like a naturalist, or I don't think there's any non-natural things, right? Once you understand things at the level of the brain and what's going on, like if I know what the I'll probably, all the kind of science nerds are gonna get mad at me here for butchering this, but if I know like, these photons are hitting this object and I have the surface of the object and the wavelength of the light or whatever, if I understand that term or of like redness, like this desk is red and that apple is red, and I use this thing like redness, it's very easy to be like, oh, there's this thing in objects, redness that's shared between them. But once you actually understand what's going on in the world, the mystery goes away. I don't need to add this like extra thing onto it, right? The mystery just kind of goes away. I think a similar thing happens when we talk about like knowledge or truth. Like, I don't think there's this special thing like truth out in the world. I think if we made a statement like everything that SR says is true, if that was a real world we live in, he just happens to report all true facts all the time. If for some reason, all of a sudden we didn't have access to the truth predicate, if I couldn't use truth in this statement, I'd have to go, SR believes grass is green, Andy believes the sky is blue, Andy believes this, Andy believes the Pope Bob, Andy believes this, Andy believes that. And I'd never be able to quantify, I'd never be able to say this one thing, SR, everything that SR says is true. So we do things with language that help paraphrase things that otherwise would take forever, like the electromagnetic spectrum of light or whatever, right? Now, similarly with knowledge, something like knowledge, it's crazy to me when I look at all of these, or getting really deep behind these bubbles, I have like two choices. Okay, we really don't know anything, and we're just totally screwed, existential crisis. Or I can do what I think what you should do. Look out in the world and look at examples of people claiming to have knowledge or beliefs or reason. And when it's going to be very hard for me to believe like the grandma down the street who was like, yeah, I know I'm walking my dog. It's very hard that when I go, what are the necessary sufficient conditions of knowledge? And how do you solve the problem of the criteria, lady? When she doesn't looks at me like I'm crazy and goes on her day, like if she can't answer that, doesn't follow that she doesn't have knowledge. Right. It's this weird thing of trying to map onto the territory, and our maps are real sloppy. They're real shitty. We're not very good at it. And so what I think is like these apparent epistemic problems or these reason problems, they might be there, but I'm not willing to like get on the ship until I kind of look at the cases and then go, is this the same thing that's going on with when I use truth as the predicate to quantify over statements? Is this the same thing I do when I say redness to quantify over? That's the kind, I hope this is making sense, but I think we play language games a lot and they create like not real problems, right? Yeah. They're like illusory.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of this stuff really goes away quickly when we stop allowing these words to wiggle as much as we let them sometimes. But Arec, give us your thoughts, man, and we'll probably wrap up here in a second. But yeah, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, no, I get what you guys said, and maybe like I think the huge outlier here is that I seem to have interest in this kind of weird niche corner that I would like to explore more. But I
don't let me take you away from it, because it is interesting. I just have gone down that route, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm wasting my time because it's just clear to me that I know things or believe things and I have reasons for them.
Doing it right. What's the reason you're going down that rabbit hole? Because eventually, I don't think it's going to lead to anything. But I was wondering, as an exit here.
Just real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you think that there's anything over and above like someone giving you the reasons why they believe? Because I think like this knowledge stuff, it's all confused. Like when you ask somebody how you know something, are you really doing anything more than what is the reason why you believe it? That's really all people are doing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Going
Yeah,
further than
yeah,
that just
you're
seems
right.
like what are we expecting? Like what's over and above this that's supposed to be achieved? That's what seems like people are chasing their tail and doing this really weird move where I'm like, in the dialectic, I just want to know what reasons you have to believe. And then my mind is going to have to assess whether those are good reasons. And you are. We are totally not the world on the outside. Right? We're driving the car. We're not looking at the car while we're driving it from the outside.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it's just kind of a weird thing. I feel like we're expecting something that in principle just seems odd. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Arec, thank you so much. And go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, I cut him off. I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead, Arec.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, that was my bad.
Do you have any recommendations of what I could read regarding my interests? I don't know much about
Well,
it.
you can, yeah, I mean, like look into like one thing if you want to just fuck your mind for a little bit is if you've heard of the problem of the criterion, and then look at the particularist and like Methodist types of responses. There's someone that I know named Troy's got a video out somewhere where he kind of goes over his views on it. I don't pretend to understand a lot of that stuff, but yeah, I get kind of, my brain goes wild after that. Maybe that's why I have the view I have. It's easier for me to say that. I don't know, but I mean, this is genuinely what I think. Yeah. So
yeah. And Arec, again, neither of us want to push you off your path. We think you investigating this further and trying to get maybe a new type of epistemology, maybe just shore up some of the ones that are there, whatever. We're big fans of that idea. And so, you know, if you do make any really cool progress and you want to talk about it, come back, give us a call. If you go through this venture over the next few months and just find it all completely worthless, call us back then too. I mean, I'm sure we'll have a good discussion. So, but we are gonna grab some other calls, Arec. So thank you so freaking much for giving us a call, man. And I hope you call back.